it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Ooh, I've been on the flex since flex zone. Neighborhood all in your eardrums. I ain't never scared like Bone Crush. Boy, I got God, don't fear none. My line busy, take no calls. Feels like I don't have no flaws. Snakes in the grass, cut those off. Your old squad shitty, my bros raw. No breaks, we go, 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 go. Throw shade, that's a no, 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 no. Go high, go low, low, low. Like spinning in a 644. Cash money like 504. Ball like AD24. No sleep, need more, more, more. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Ooh, I'm a real one, my day one. Try speak up, can't say none. Try dig dirt, there ain't none. I make the money, then save up. 10 to 80, my save ones. Take to the top on the base one. New car, fast lane. With the booyah, that's a flex. Not a human, I ain't from another planet. I'ma teleport, might vanish. I'ma wake up, do damage. Join number 7.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to CCF. Hope you're doing well on this Thursday. Joining me today, we have AJ Ruffing. How you doing, AJ?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. We've had a lot happen since we last spoke last week.
Yeah, we did.
In all sports, so I'm really excited to cover it today.
And Tony is unfortunately missing today. We'll have CU still covered. We'll be taking care of that. He'll be doing stuff, taking care of the family. So don't worry about him. He's feeling fine. So, let's start. AJ, what's been going on though for you? Anything special?
Well, as we talked about before we came on air here, the hat I'm rocking right now.
What are you
Shout out to
rocking?
that, right? The Rocky Mountain Vibe, the Pioneer League team here in the Springs. It's a great logo. I think I worked in minor league baseball for a while, and this logo definitely ranks up there some of the best.
So tell me, like, when in minor league baseball, like, what's different about it? Like, what do you have to do in order to get fans, and what are those kind of things that you have to do that is a little bit different? Because the vibes, you have to do something exciting to get people in the stands when you're the vibes.
Right. So when I was with the Tigers organization, I was with the AAA club at Toledo Mud Hens, and it's all about like promotion, just having fun theme nights. And now, granted, that's AAA, so you're still seeing a lot of major league ball players either on a rehab assignment or on that borderline of the 40-man roster, things like that. But just a lot of promotions, having fun. The interactions with fans and players is always huge, and it's also one thing that really is just a good cheap date night. I mean, minor league ball you can do tickets, drinks, food cheaper than you can go out to dinner and a movie, and so. That's one cool thing about the Vibes games is we're getting season tickets this year. Did probably 5-6 games last year. Had a blast. We did Margaritaville night. They had it before the home opener, the fan night. So you go check out the stadium, walk around, meet players, take batting practice, things like that. Just big interactions between the organization and the fans. That's what keeps coming them back because you go to Rockies games. MLB tickets become really expensive real quick. And so
it can be not a great product at the same time when we're
absolutely
talking about the Rockies, but versus AAA team, those, you're not so worried about, hey, I'm not getting my money's worth or something like that along that line.
Yeah. And chances are too, when you come to a minor league game, you're gonna have a way better seat. You're not going to be there's no upper decks. There's a level, a second level, but that's still that's not far at all. So, I've sat up in the bar at Coors Field up there in center field. I can't think of what it's called. But that's a mile away from home plate. And that's a good time, don't get me wrong, but it's a mile away. So you go to a minor league ballpark, you're going to be right on the field. Chances are, your chances of getting a foul ball or autograph are so much better. And just a more fun atmosphere, I think. If I could go to minor league baseball games all the time, I would.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I did not know about the Vibes do now, and definitely want to check them out.
Yeah, the mascot's name is Toasty.
I was trying to figure out what is their mascot. So it's Toasty.
It's literally Toasty the S'more.
Okay, Toasty the S'more.
Right there. There we go.
That makes more sense now. That's why he's on fire. Okay, I was just trying to figure it out. Like, is it a sandwich? What's going on there?
Yeah, and their back logo is really cool too.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's a cool one, definitely.
Yeah, they do a good job.
All right, I know we're a little pressed for time going into things, so let's start talking a little bit about CU football. You ready for that?
Good.
Let's do it. Boy, has CU had some changes since we spoke last. Essentially, I want to start with the coaching for CU. They have finally made a change for their offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach. It is Pat Shurmur. That's who we've been expecting this whole time. It's just a matter of they finally made the move. When you think of Pat Shurmur, what are your first thoughts? Because you're a Ohio fan, Cleveland fan, so the Cleveland Browns. What are your first thoughts on him in terms of a offensive guy, in terms of a head coach?
Well, honestly, they only had 9 wins in 2 years, so
Yeah.
there's really not much to think about. And he was in that scramble of Browns firing and hiring and firing and hiring coaches left and right. So yeah, I think he was. I looked it up here earlier. He was 9-23 in Cleveland in 2 years, 4-12 and 5-11. Obviously, finished 4th in the AFC North at both years. That's really hard to say. And then he went to Philly after that. He spent time with the Giants. The Giants, he only has 19 wins as a head coach in the NFL, 19-46. So he's probably one of those coaches who's better off as a coordinator.
Yep.
You see that a lot anymore. You see a lot in the college ranks, especially to a coach from a Power 5, or excuse me, from a Group of 5 program, get a P5 job, not work out well, and he goes back to being a coordinator or goes back down to a G5 program. But the only time will tell. He's been to the staff 1 year now as a consultant or an analyst.
Yeah.
So he knows the players, he knows the system. Now he'll be able to kind of implement his system into what Coach Prime wants to do. So again, we're seeing changes left and right there with Colorado, and obviously we've just got plenty of time before season even starts, before spring ball. So I'm sure there's going to be more changes.
Yeah, I think when a lot of people, especially when it came to Colorado, Shurmur was a Broncos offensive coordinator. A lot of people were very tired what they saw with him doing with the Broncos and Drew Lock. They felt it was very predictable, those kind of things. I don't think we'll see that same kind of offense going into Colorado. I think you'll see some different things just because the weapons are different. There's just a lot of different players there, what he can do with it. Last year, again, it's not the same kind of thing that he's going to run. He was implementing Sean Lewis's system because, again, you can't change your system in the middle of the season. You just can't do it. You can implement a few different things here and there, but you can't change the system as a whole. So this year, you'll see a completely different system for CU. And I think, again, he's going to use the strengths of his offense, which is, hey, you have a lot of different receivers with different strengths that you can use when it comes to those times, which I really like that ability. And again, now we'll see maybe some actual running plays from CU, because that was just missing the entire year for Colorado. And it was very hard because they had some running backs that they could have used in different situations and rotated them into those different situations. So I think we'll see some more running plays from CU. Again, maybe that will make the offensive line start to be able to control the line of scrimmage more, be able to control the passing plays more, because again, you're not saying every single play, hey, this is going to be a pass play, and let those defensive linemen tee off. So I think that's going to be really big for the offensive linemen as well. Just have different plays going on for your offense. It just changes things up completely. So when it comes to Pat Shurmur, I think this is going to be a good change. Hopefully, again, it's not going to be the same thing where it's, hey, 2 run plays in a row, then you pass, and then all of a sudden it's 3 and out. Those kind of things where we were accustomed as Broncos fans. I see a lot of different things coming with Shurmur. So
yeah, and he does have college experience too. He was at Michigan State, at Stanford, and then made the jump to the NFL. And you kind of look at it. You talk about being with the Broncos, and chances are and the same thing with the Browns. He probably has better athletes at CU than he did both of those organizations.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, his lowest level of athletes are going to be better than a lot of teams that he's going to face. Honestly, he has the athletes now to run, to run screens, to run different plays that he wants, run different concepts, whatever he wants to do with this team. He has the players to do it. Running backs, receivers. Again, the biggest question is that offensive line, and I think that offensive line is going to be much different when you don't have to just say, hey, I have to do this pass blocking. They feel different when you can all of a sudden do some run plays. You can mix things up. It feels better when you're not just all of a sudden being told. You're telling the defense what's going on.
Sure. And I think, the offensive line is key because we saw it towards the end of last year. Shedeur Sanders just running for his life.
Right.
And he took a rib injury or a shoulder injury there late in the season, but he was just running. And I think there was a game, I can't remember which one it was, but he was sacked like 5-6 times. And so I think they did hit the board
he's hit even more. I mean, just imagine how many times he was hit though.
Yeah.
And you can't take that. I mean, those are and then he's still going out there because he feels like he has to, and that's the problem. One of the problems. So I think that he's going to be a big reason to change that, and it's going to be changed throughout the offense. You're going to feel that. So I'm really excited about that. And that's not the only change. The wide receiver coach was changed. It is Jason Phillips. He was, he worked with Coach Sanders, Coach Prime. In the past, he was with Jackson State 2 years ago. 2 years ago, he was with Jackson State. Last year, he was in the Canadian Football League with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So he has a lot of different experience, and he's going to be the wide receiver coach. A little surprised with that, honestly, just because they had a good wide receiver coach in Brett Bartolone. He's going to go ahead and now be the tight end coach. So I was a little surprised by that switch, but you still have a great coach that can help with the offensive, the receivers, and now help with the tight ends, as Tim Brewster's now in Charlotte. I was a little surprised with that, but again, you still have, three guys that are going to be very experienced, going to be able to help this offense be able to tee off and get those points going faster, quicker, and be able to really get that going.
Yeah, I think,
and again, know everyone in this offense.
Sure. And I think one thing too is, and it's been slowly a trend, but I think it's going to pick up in the next couple of years, and that's coaches hiring ex-players right away. You saw, kind of like Ohio State with Brian Hartline, for example. Now, he was out of the league for a couple of years, but his story of coaching is interesting. But, he's a guy who was successful at Ohio State, he's successful in the NFL, and you see he's one of the top recruiters in the country, just pumping out top or first-round draft picks at wide receiver. So I think that's going to be a major trend in the next couple of years, coaches getting, especially younger coaches in there. Because you see, like, we talked about it last week with Nick Saban, the game is getting too big for him. Not I want to say it's getting too big for him, but he doesn't want to associate with all that anymore. And so I think the trend is getting younger coaches in there because, Prime's in his 50s. That's not really old for coaching, but there are some guys who are out there in their 70s, and so getting younger guys in there is going to be huge for the locker room, and also developing those individual rooms as well.
Yeah, and I think also CU needs their defensive coordinator. They're down to 3, it sounds like. And, that you're speaking of guys that are younger. Jim Leonard, is he in the final 3? Those are the guys that you want to bring in that are excited about these opportunities of the NIL opportunities, because that's something they would have loved so much, and they thought about that. They yearned for that kind of deals. So they want to be able to do that. So that maybe that's one of their final kind of thoughts when they're looking at defensive coordinators. Maybe it's like, hey, Jim Leonard, he was so successful early on when he went to Wisconsin. Let's bring someone like that in here. That sounds like a great, like you're saying with Hartline, those are the great ideas where you can get those guys in here immediately, and all of a sudden they want to do the same kind of things because, again, they wanted that.
And they're not that far removed from the game. I have a lot of friends who are Wisconsin football fans and season ticket holders and whatnot, and they were heartbroken when Leonard didn't stay. They loved him as an interim coach. They thought he was going to get the job, and Fickle ended up getting it. And of course, Fickle's a great defensive mind anyway. But then Leonard went to Illinois as an analyst, a senior analyst for Britt. What's his name?
Don't worry about it.
Anyways, I don't know his names. But he was at Illinois last year. I think he's a perfect fit for any defensive coordinator or anybody who's in need of a defensive coordinator. His defenses were always solid at Wisconsin. Yeah. And that's because he was a defensive back. He understands the game. He played in the NFL. He was with the Browns for a
And
little
then
while.
again, CU also needs a defensive back, safety coach, so he can also help fill in some of those roles. It really makes a lot of sense when you're thinking about Jim Leonard. He's someone who was very excited. He would be able to go on the recruiting trail when needed to. That's something that, it's not for prime, and I understand why. All of a sudden, that's someone who can go ahead and do that. I really like the idea of someone like that who's excited and wants to do that. So
he also has a ton of special teams experience, because that's kind of what his thing was in the NFL.
Oh God, you're making me say this is the guy. You're pounding the table. You're making me pound the table for him, man. And let's switch a little bit over with more on CU. I know we're going long, but they had a lot of going on. Devin Respress. I think I'm saying that right. If not, forgive me. He is the head of the Florida A&M, University's recruiting team, and he is stepping down from that, coming on over to CU. It sounds like he's going to be involved in player personnel in some way. It sounds like he's already kind of grinding, helping with player personnel, with offering, getting players excited and stuff like that. So it sounds like he will be a huge addition, changing how the Buffs will be, again, getting different players to come in, and it sounds very exciting there too.
Yeah, absolutely, because this is a huge time in the season for recruits, transfers, things like that. Every day there's somebody entering and then getting out of it. So this is a huge time for player development.
I mean, we have to be honest. There's guys from Washington and Alabama just running away. If your coach left, I mean, it always comes down to your coach. That's your guy, and if they leave, and that's the reason why you went to the program. Honestly, it's not. Let's be honest. It's not exactly for the school or the boosters or anything like that. It's for the coach who you trusted to be the person to lead you and be the person you trust to help you get through school in that process. So there's a lot of different guys there, and if you're someone you can trust through your recruitment process, that's a huge That's a huge thing.
It's a people business.
Yes, it is. So that does it for CU when it comes to football. Honestly, let's transition real quickly into CSU because we're running on time. When it comes to CSU football, they are doing a lot when it comes to, recruiting, just a lot of offers being sent out, especially, again, offensive line. You see Bill Best doing a lot. You just see them attacking a lot of different things. But the big thing right now is they did get a transfer, Donovan Ollie, 6'3", 212, coming from Washington State. But, again, you love that body size. You love that, the measurables. But again, only 72 receptions, 857 yards, 4 touchdowns over 3 years. That's just not much, very impressive. You do think that the CSU coaching staff can help him in that Fort Rate offense. But again, 1 year of eligibility left. You just hope to get something out of him. Honestly, that's the most what's coming out of CSU, unfortunately. And we got Clayton coming in here just saying, hey, guys, appreciate you saying it, Clayton. And he's also saying smash that like button and share. Really appreciate that, Clayton. You're just always in here. Thank you so much. Besides that, again, that's it for CSU. They're crushing it for football. They're attacking it when it comes to recruiting, and that's what I like to see. And you're ready to go into some Air Force football. I think we're in the same kind of situation.
That we are. All right, yeah, so similar to you, not a whole lot of news coming out of Air Force. A couple things here and there we'll get into, but the biggest thing is the awards and honors keep coming in for senior safety and Thorpe Award winner Trey Taylor, as he's been recognized as a member of the 2023 Colorado Sports Hall of Fame, which is really no surprise. I mean, you guys talked to him before I joined you, but I got to watch him play twice last year. He's just a ball hawk. He's the guy who's going to make a difference at the next level, and being one of the best athletes, I think, to come through at the Air Force Academy. This is a rightful honor. He also is going to be entering with McKenna Houschild, who's an absolute baller up there at CSU.
We've talked about this before. She does it all on her own. It feels like. I wonder what CSU would be without her, honestly, in basketball. We'll talk about her a little bit later, and I'll let you continue with Trey Taylor, though, because I mean, again, I wonder where Air Force's, defensive backfield would be without him.
Absolutely. They're both key playmakers, and the defense ran through Trey Taylor, and the CSU's offense essentially runs through McKenna. So it's great to see them two receiving these awards. Very, very worthy of it. Outside of those awards in the year, Academy football, seeing a lot of social media activities with home visits and things like that with the recruits here as of late. A lot of housekeeping for the Air Force staff. It seems like they're traveling all over, talking to guys, having dinner, breaking bread. It's kind of getting hyped up for the following year or their 2025 recruits. So a lot of good things going on there for the coaching staff, keep staying on top of recruits and commits and things like that, this is a prime time for it. So it's going to be really exciting to see these guys coming in next year. We did a whole recruiting show a couple of weeks ago, really excited to see some of these freshmen coming in. And I know there's going to be a few of them who will contribute from day one. And so it's going to be a lot of fun to follow those guys. The Falcons were able to receive a commitment the other day from Brody Smith, a 6'5", 285-pound lineman from Jefferson City, Missouri. I'm not sure if he's playing offensive line, defensive line. High school, he plays both ways. So I'm really curious to see where he goes. He plays offensive guard and tackle and then defensive end as well. 285, that was a great size at 6'5", to play offensive line, I think, for the Falcons. For as much running as the offense does, I think he could be a great person to beef up a little bit and run behind him. I think that could be a huge positive for the Falcon offense going forward.
Yeah, definitely. And that sounds like pretty much it. Like you said, I saw a lot of maintenance, saw a lot of things from scheme, just again, defensive line. And I agree with you. I saw a lot of guys who are I love this from Air Force. You see these guys that, have an offensive line, defensive line, and somehow you see these guys are defensive line punters, and it's just like they can do everything. That's the magical part. They go after these guys that can fit everywhere and can do different things. So that's what I love about Air Force. They find guys that can fit into different situations. If things change, they can move them around. So that's one thing I love about the Academy. And we're ready to switch on over real quick to the Buffs and some basketball. Are you?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Man, the women's basketball team is ready for a gauntlet. I know that Tony talked about this. I know that he's missing out on this. He's probably jealous about this because the women's basketball team, who is ranked third right now behind, I think, let's see, is it South Carolina and Iowa?
I believe so.
I believe those are the two teams, and those are fantastic teams. They're playing UCLA and this tomorrow, and then USC, who's number 6, later this weekend. It's going to be a gauntlet. Let's be honest. It's one of those things where, even with those games being at home, it's going to be hard. Even with you can have the stadium packed with your home court advantage. It's difficult. Let's be honest. There's a lot of kids that are from California. I don't know if that's going to have an impact at all. With the crowd. I just remember when I went to see you, there was a ton of kids that were USC and UCLA, fans in a sort, and that kind of has me concerned in a sense that maybe there's going to be a mix in the crowd, not a big mix, but I remember that. So I don't know. It's going to be a tough game. I feel like these are going to be those games where you're down to a few shots, a few plays are going to make the difference. A few rebounds. And this is where you have to have your girls shine that are able to do that, essentially. This is where the Buffs can essentially pull away, I think, as well in the conference. Because, again, I think they beat Stanford already once. Am I correct?
They did just beat them last week, 71-59.
So, again, pull away a little bit. You beat Stanford. You can start pull away in the conference. I'd like to see that, honestly.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on these games? And again, what are the importance? Am I getting a little too ahead of myself on the importance of this conference games?
I don't think so because we're going 3 ranked teams in a row. Stanford, then hosted Stanford, hosting number 5 UCLA, hosting number 6 USC. Obviously, those are huge. But what I look at are the 4 following games.
Okay.
On the road at Oregon State, at the road at Oregon, at Washington State, then at Washington. 4 road trips. That's tough.
That is.
That's really tough. And so, obviously, getting hyped up for UCLA and USC, that is huge. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about the conference, that's massive. But those 4 games on the road, you got Oregon State at 8 p.m. tip-off, Oregon at 1 p.m., Washington State 8 p.m., Washington 1 p.m. So we're kind of all over the schedule there with the Lady Buffs. So those 4 games on the road, because it's easy to win at home. Home court advantage is real. We all know. We've all seen it. So I think being on the road and being a ranked team going into a hostile environment, because those places are always going to be jumping no matter what the record is, those away teams. So I think those 4 away games are going to be massive. And obviously we're not too far from those states, but still hopping on a plane, 4 games in a row, it's going to take a toll on anybody, no matter who you are.
No, I agree. And, this is where I hope that you can get some of those CU guys that are, big names. You have Deion Sanders, you have some of those guys come in there and help the crowd get really excited. I know Coach Payne's going to do a great job in getting those Lady Buffs ready, but like you said, that schedule afterwards, I didn't really consider that they're going on a 4-game road trip essentially afterwards, and how tiring that is. Because again, you have the school on top of that, and all those different things that are going on. I'm not sure what's going on, with different tests, different projects. Those things wear on everyone. You can't escape school at the same time. Even if you have a tutor to help, those different kind of things, you can't escape it. So again, like you're saying, going to traveling that to I believe it takes longer to travel
because the Pacific Northwest is an hour behind us.
Yeah, so, I mean, so it's it's going to feel. So if it's at 8, is that if
8 o'clock? 8 o'clock their time would be 9 our time.
So it's going to feel late, man. It's going to feel late. Those games are going to go till 1 o'clock, and then they got to do it again in a couple days.
Absolutely.
Those games are going to be tiring, and then you got to come back. That's going to be rough for them.
Absolutely. Kind of looking at the standings here, Colorado's sitting there 5-0 in the conference. Stanford 4-1, UCLA and USC are 3-1. Oregon State 3-2. Excuse me. Utah 2-3. California 2-3. Oregon 2-3. Arizona 2-3. Washington's 1-3. Washington State 1-3. Arizona State 0-5. So that road trip with Washington State, Oregon, and Oregon State, their records, but their overall records though, the Oregon State sitting there at 14-2. Let's see here, Oregon 11-7, Washington 11-4, and Washington State 12-5. So no matter what your conference schedule is, your overall schedule is still really good. Every team in the conference is within 5 games of first place.
Just want to tell you, Taylor, real quickly, we have not talked CSU hoops. We are going to get to them. We're going to talk Air Force next, and then CSU, because Air Force and CSU kind of blend together. We had our guy AJ, who was actually at the game, so we're going to go through him, who was be able to talk about that. So, you ready to transition to a little bit of Air Force, because you were on top of it, at least in terms of tweeting everything. You were there basically. So
yeah.
Let's transition over to Air Force.
So the wife and I attended our first Air Force game this past Saturday.
Yeah.
We've got 2 games this week. Yes. So we've got some phenomenal pictures. We posted a few of them on our Instagram and other social medias. Well, we're still going through them, kind of filtering out which ones we want and what not. So those will be up here soon. But I'm not sure if you watched last Saturday against San Jose State.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't able to.
No. Buzzer beater loss.
That hurts.
Falcons dropped that one 70-67. Marion Amy Jr. for San Jose State took the inbound with 1.5 seconds to go in the corner. Coffin corner essentially threw it up, and it hung in the air forever. It dropped as the buzzer went off. 3-point game over.
Now let me ask you, did you feel like it was a good shot, good play set up for that final shot?
It was an inbound, and
it was clean.
Yeah, it was clean. Yeah, Amy had played like 27 minutes in that game, or 37 minutes in that game, and 17 points, I believe, in the winner. So he didn't really come off the floor, and everybody in the gym knew he getting the ball, he was going to shoot it. It was tough because Regis Petrides came down with the defensive rebound with 1.5 seconds to go, but his heel was on the out of bounds line, which turned the ball over to San Jose State. But the Falcons were led by Ethan Taylor with 19 points, Bo Becker with 18, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks. Regis Petrides finished with 15, 7, and 4. Air Force for that game was 25 of 48 from the field, 9 of 21 from beyond the arc, 8 of 24 from, 8 of 14 from the stripe, 5 offensive rebounds, 20 defensive rebounds, 14 assists, 2 steals, and 6 blocks. Their largest deficit was 15 points. So for them to come back from 15 and tie it and even lead for a lot of the second period or the second half, essentially, to lose that game, a crucial conference loss, that was definitely big for the Falcons. And we play New Mexico this weekend, and we'll be there for that also. I'll be live covering that and live tweeting things and pictures as well. But in the meantime, Air Force lost to your Rams.
Well, let's talk real quick about Taylor's comment here. The Air Force Academy is better than their record. Just need to finish their games better. Do you agree with that comment? Essentially,
I would.
Yeah, I mean, because again, we've seen them, again in non-conference play, be able to finish some of these games, and they are better than what we thought. Because again, I've seen record predictions be as low as 7 games for the entire year, and they've already crossed that. So we know that they're better than what people thought, especially coming into this year. So I mean, it just comes down to, I think, again, finishing these games. They're at a disadvantage when it comes to, we know in size, we know in some of these things, so they're going to be tired. They have a weaker bench, so they just have to be able to, like you both were saying, AJ and Taylor, they got to finish these games, get those final shots off, maybe get a rebound when you're not supposed to be able to get those rebounds because of the size. Just fight a little bit harder. But it's hard to, because again, they're at the end of the day, size does matter. It does.
San Jose State had some very large dudes. They had some dudes. But I think one thing for Air Force as well is just getting off to a quicker start. Getting off to a quicker start that maybe you don't have to worry about, losing it in the last second. You give yourself a cushion, because first half was struggled-wise.
And they did versus CSU. They got off to a quick start. So why do you think that they weren't able to, at times, why they're able to get off to a quick start? Do you think that they were pumped for, that CSU game where they were able to say, hey, let's do this. Let's get to this quick start. I feel this game, that kind of thing. Is it an emotional attachment, or is it more just, hey, that was just one game they were able to do it?
I think it probably has, the emotion probably contributes to a little bit of it, but I think coming off such a close game a couple of nights prior on Saturday night, still having that taste in your mouth because it was in their grasp. They had it. But I think one thing that really has hurt Air Force's turnovers. We talked about Regis Petrides. He stepped on the out of bounds line, and that's how San Jose State got the ball with 1.5 seconds. They had to go to the clock and readjust the clock. And the funny thing is, I'm sitting on Media Row. I get an ESPN update saying overtime for that game. And I'm like, well, I'm sitting in the arena, and it's not overtime. And so I was talking to a couple of guys next to me. They all checked their phones, and they all had the same update. So we're not sure who was telling ESPN that this game was going into overtime, because the clock never even expired. There was
I was looking for the CSU and Air Force game at one point, and it was in overtime, and yet it still said the fourth quarter. So I was confused for a few different things too. So some of these times when you're looking those up, it can be very confusing,
especially when you're sitting in the arena on courtside. Like,
that had to be the most confusing. You're in the arena and you're looking up, and you're just like,
because you're always TV delays, especially with the Mountain West Conference. You stream the games to the app, so there's always going to be a little delay or something like that. And then all of a sudden, like, wait, but I'm watching them review it right now. It's not overtime. The guy hasn't announced it. There's still 1.5 seconds on the clock, so we're not. I wish it was overtime. Would maybe give us more of a chance. But I think starting off quicker, like they did against Colorado State, could be huge going forward. And again, just finishing games and limiting turnovers and penalty or fouls rather. They were great from the line this past against Colorado State. Regis Petrides was huge at the line going late in that game. But again, those two things, and their schedule is not going to get any easier. We know how we kind of like the Pac-12. We know the gauntlet that the Mountain West is, It's not going to get any easier. They have a great New Mexico team coming into town this weekend. So hopefully they can carry that momentum going into this one because they desperately do need that conference win.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And, in terms of, the CSU game, what do you have any thoughts of that, or do you want to just talk about that together? Because
I got some numbers and some stats here we can throw out and kind of compare see where we're at. Let's do that. Yeah, they dropped another one, obviously, in overtime, 78-69 to the Rams. Reese Petritis led with 22 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Ethan Taylor added 18 points, 8 rebounds. And then Bo Becker finished with 18 points, 7 rebounds. But this is their 7th loss in a row. That's tough. From the field, or statistically from the game, the Falcons were 23 of 56 from the field, 10 of 22 from 3-point land, 13 of 17 from the line, 11 offensive rebounds, 26 defensive rebounds, 13 assists, 6 steals, 5 blocks. And their largest lead was 12.
I mean, they came out quick, like you were talking about earlier. I was so surprised. I think they came out at the beginning. I think they had a run for 12 minutes where the Rams didn't score, and it was just it looked horrible. It felt bad just from my perspective when I was looking at it. I wasn't able to watch it, but I was kind of looking on my phone. And I was just seeing it, and I think it was at some point it was like 12-0. I was looking at it. I was like, man, what is going on here? And you started to see CSU start to pull it together, but again, during this whole time, you could see that Air Force was keeping it up. Every single time I felt like CSU had a chance to start to pull ahead, break away, do what they do best, and be the team that they are, use their bench, wear down Air Force and make Air Force make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Air Force wasn't doing those mistakes that they usually tend to do. So I was surprised by that Air Force was so able to stay together. Very similar in statistics. The big difference, not a big difference, but 3-pointers were a slight difference. But again, a difference for CSU to get back on track, like you've talked about, were the turnovers. CSU, 9 turnovers. Air Force, how can you have 16 turnovers? That is just a huge disparity that's going to lead to those points, lead to those fast breaks where CSU can make those points again very quickly, easily, not be able to have contested shots. That's the big difference.
Mm-hmm. That and 21 fouls. That to CSU's 15. Largest lead for the Falcons is 12. The largest lead for the Rams was 9. And Reese Petritis, like we talked about, we had 3 guys in double digits. Reese Petritis had 22, and he was 9 of 10 from the line, which is huge. Rebounding wise, Ethan Taylor had 8. Assist wise, Reese Petritis with 5 assists. He played 36 minutes of the game. So, it's there. It's one big puzzle. They can put all those pieces together. I'm not gonna say they're make a run at the end of the year, but they're gonna get some conference wins, and they may upset Colorado State when they play them later on in the year. They might upset a New Mexico this week when they come to town, because there are multiple ranked teams in this conference, especially Utah State. Utah State they're a juggernaut in themselves. They could beat anybody in the country, honestly. But they're on the schedule for later in the year at Utah State, so we'll see what can happen. They can put everything together and keep the consistency too. 3 guys in double digits. Limit the turnovers, limit the fouls. Those can turn into points, and I think that's going to be huge for the Falcons going forward.
I know a lot of people that, at least I was seeing on Twitter, were very concerned that this meant, and I know again we're talking about players. CSU did fall out of the top 25, but people were saying if they lost this game to Air Force, they were concerned that this meant, hey, this team isn't going to go into the NCAA tournament. And I thought that was a little bit too far of a mindset. It's too early to have that mindset. Games get dropped. I mean, we've seen it with better teams do that. And again, want to get to here with Taylor, because he's probably right where we were kind of going to go to. Joe Palmer was my player of the game. Big threes, hustle, rebounds, and that dunk to end the terrible first half to keep the Rams close enough. Yeah, Joe Palmer really was. That dunk was a big dunk. It did, it changed some of the momentum. He also, I believe, made a huge block at one point, if I recall right. Maybe that was someone else, but he really brought some energy. He is someone who, when he comes out, man, it changes the way the game feels, changes the way it feels like the fans feel. It just brings energy, and I love that. And you need that from someone in your team, where it gets the fans going, gets everyone excited, I feel like. And he was the player of the game. I think, he's the reason why on our thumbnail I chose him, because he was the player of the game, I think.
He played 26 minutes, was 4 of 8 from the field, 3 of 6 from beyond the arc, and 11 total points, 5 rebounds, 1 offensive rebound, 2 offensive rebounds.
Did he get a block?
He had 1 block, 2 steals.
I think that he had a block that was just at the perfect timing, if I recall. And that's just one of those things where you can get someone off the bench like that. He's, he doesn't have to come in and be in the game at all times. And it just makes a huge difference when you have that. And Air Force doesn't have that ability to have someone come in off the bench and just be someone who can just make some plays for you.
Yeah. And Air Force is interesting too, because they don't rotate a lot. They only had 3 guys come off the bench.
Yeah.
And so, bench points.
I'm sure if they had the guys, they would love to rotate.
And they would
love to.
They didn't have any bench points in this game.
That hurts you. I mean, your guys are getting wore down by the end of the game. If I recall, they had an opportunity to make some shots to close out the game. Am I right? Again, your arms are tired at the end of the game. Going into overtime, you're tired. You need someone to be able to, again, just take a few shots and be able to do that for your team. But you don't have the guys. And again, if they're too young, you're trying to develop them. You can't put them in that huge game situation. It's just too big for them.
Sure. And I think I can't remember the exact time, but the Falcons went to like the last 5 or 6 minutes without scoring a field goal. They were at hit a couple big ones at the line. But field goal wise, they didn't hit it. Now, they went on a streak there towards the end of the game, which is huge. But it went back. CSU did that same thing early on in the game too. So it was definitely a teeter-totter effect, back and forth the entire game. But it's unfortunately happened at the wrong time for the Falcons.
Yeah. And again, I still think CSU is a team, for me at least, that can get in there, get back into the top 25.
Now, how many bids will the Mountain West get?
Say it again?
How many bids does the Mountain West get for the tournament?
Shoot, I don't know. It's such a tough conference.
There's like 3 or 4 teams who could legitimately make it.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think there could be 3 or 4 teams that can honestly be in the top 25 at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, there was 3 teams in the top 25 before CSU dropped out. So
yeah,
I think 4 is perfectly acceptable.
I think so too. You look at the top of the conference right here. Utah State and San Diego State are both tied at 4-1 in the conference. Boise State's 3-1. New Mexico's 2-3. Nevada 2-2. Colorado State's 2-2. UNLV 2-2. Wyoming 2-2. Fresno State 1-3. San Jose State 1-4.
You make it sound harder and harder.
I know. You go. The top of the conference here, Utah State, which I watched them earlier on.
As long as people don't look at it as these teams have, these teams are going to beat each other up.
Oh yeah.
And as long as people look at it and understand that they're beating each other up, and not just saying, these it just depends how people look at it. And I think that they deserve it. We'll see how at the end of the day, again, people look at it, because again, are they going to respect it and put some of these teams in the top 25? If not, they won't respect it, I feel like.
Yeah, let's take a look here. Utah State, for example, their schedule. They just dropped one to New Mexico, 99-86. What a high scoring game that was. Then they host Fresno State, at Boise State, host San Jose State, at San Diego State, and host Nevada, Boise, and then on the road, February 17th at Colorado State. That could be a big matchup here, especially for seeding in the conference tournament, and then they at Air Force March 1st. So a lot of big games for them, especially towards the back half of their schedule.
We got Taylor in here saying 5-bid league.
Book it.
You know what? I mean, I would love it. I think that sometimes it's just one of those things where the league won't get the respect it deserves. That's the thing.
I think that's why that conference tournament is going to be so important.
Mm-hmm.
This conference this year.
I would love to see it. I hate that you're going to see some mediocre team get in from a league that doesn't deserve it, but that's how it goes.
Some conference you've never even heard of.
Yeah, I mean that's how it goes now.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but
they'll get that play-in game, and then go to the round of 16.
Yeah, and then it's just
16.
Yeah, whatever. It is what it is. And what I feel like I'm missing some team. What team am I missing here? What didn't we cover?
Women. Yeah, because Air Force and Colorado State women played last night.
Yes. And again, that was when it came to CSU women's basketball, man, they have been, again, it comes down to, let me go over to my women's tab, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where, again, it's running through Hofschild again.
Yeah.
It really is. And as you said, she won, was it Colorado
Sports Hall of Fame? Yeah.
Sports Hall of Fame. She deserves it. She's playing 36.4 minutes a game, averaging 24.8 points a game. I mean, she was at 25 before that she played Air Force. I think she got a little bit of a rest for once. But again, assists per game, she's at the top. Field goal percentage, 50.9%. She's at the top everywhere. It's amazing that teams aren't able to shut her down and double her and just again just go attack her and stop her that way. And they're not able to.
Mm-hmm.
Air Force honestly took a beating on this one, 81-67. It just felt like they, from the start, CSU had their way.
Mm-hmm.
I think honestly it went at some point it was 14-3.
Something like that,
12-0 for CSU.
Mm-hmm.
It really was a hard game for Air Force, at least to get going at the beginning. Field goal percentage was rough. Mm-hmm. It really was just one of those things where three-pointer, 52.6% for CSU, Air Force at 25%. It just made a huge difference when you can hit those three-pointers and the other team is not. And again, and CSU needed this one after a couple of losses. So, they're finally getting, back into the conference kind of assessment. And, again, excited for that. They needed some bigger attendance and they got some. So really excited for the women's team. And again, one thing that was nice though for Air Force, they were able to kind of close it out once the CSU team brought in their backups and get some momentum going in the fourth quarter with 24 points and able to close it out at least strong with that. So again, I'm glad CSU didn't, pour it on too strong, rest their starters, and Air Force was able to put some things together to get something going for the next game.
Yeah, we've talked about here over the past few weeks, Melanie Perry. She's been kind of the offense. She everything ran through her. Well, she only had 10 points the other night, but a star was born in Maddie Smith, who led the way with 31. Yeah, and then so the Falcons were 28 of 69 from the field. This number hurt, and you alluded on a little bit ago. 6 of 24 from 3-point land, 5 of 8 from the stripe, 14 offensive rebounds, 25 defensive rebounds, 22 assists, 6 steals, 11 turnovers. But the glaring number that had both issues with on the men's and women's side is fouls. 19 fouls for the ladies the other night. Air Force drops to 9-10 in the season, 2-4 in conference play.
Yeah, that's rough. Again, it feels like. I wish I could say it was a size thing, but you look at McKenna, she's 5'2", maybe. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where on a good day she's 5'2" in her shoes. So it's hard to say what's exactly going on with the Air Force Falcons there. Yeah. Because it doesn't quite come down to size. It feels like they're I can't quite say.
Yeah, it's one of those things too, I think, where consistency comes into play.
Consistency.
We talked about Melanie, being the star that she is. Like, she only held to 10. If she was more, she got a couple more buckets to fall, and this person got a couple more buckets, and on top of Maddie's 31 points. I'm not gonna say they're gonna win, but also I can say they can be a little more competitive.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and it makes sense. I know we're kind of pushed here for time. Anything else you got on your mind when it comes to Colorado sports, or anything else?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we will be at the Air Force New Mexico game this weekend. It's 2 p.m. 2 o'clock kickoff.
Can
Tip-off.
people come up and see you somehow? Is there any way that they can run into you? Maybe write you on Twitter
Yeah,
or
shoot me a
X and
message.
whatever.
Shoot me a message on my personal Twitter at Roughing55 right here, or our CCF at Sports Podcast Twitter, or the SSN Air Force account as well. I'm live tweeting the game through the SSN account.
Yeah.
I'll be retweeting it through the podcast account, which will be a lot of fun. I'll be on Media Row. Faith will be on the sidelines taking pictures again. Like I said, we got a lot of good ones. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram as well. We're doing some live videos on there on our stories at CCF_sports. Get those followers up there. We'll start posting some more pictures on that feed as well. Got a lot of good. I think we got like 400 some pictures to go through here from the game the other night.
Wow.
So we've got a ton of good ones. We went through, picked out 5 or 6, put it on the Instagram the other day. So we're doing some more of those this week as well. But I'm thinking for a Saturday 2 o'clock tip off. Hopefully, there's gonna be a good crowd. Last week was a -3 at tip off.
Jeez.
So not a lot of people, and that was a busy day at the.
Let me ask you right now. I know my computer tells me what is your temperature right now where you're at?
Oh, so let's see here. We're in northern Colorado Springs, so we're off over by Briargate. Let's take a look here and see what we're at.
Just curious.
I'll
say,
sure.
I'm in Centennial, somewhat near, where the Broncos practice facility is.
Yeah.
We're at 11 degrees, so we're nice and warm and toasty.
I'm at 19.
Oh, very warm.
Right,
okay.
we were at 50 yesterday.
Oh, that was nice yesterday. I have to admit, it was nice.
Yeah. It's like I go to work though at 5:30 in the morning, and it was cold.
That was a bitter cold where, again, that's not including the wind chill even for these things. No. So
especially if you guys are familiar with the academy, it's being up in the mountains, if you will, in the wind. And I work there every day. I have multiple accounts there, and it's windy.
It is.
It's very windy. I was up by the chapel 2 days ago, and there was many job sites that just did not come to work because it was too windy and too cold.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing that, I can't expect people to go to school or anything like that. It's just so risky with your car, especially if you don't have all-wheel drive or those kind of things.
But yeah, last Saturday was a very busy day at the field house. You had hockey, men's and women's basketball.
How's the hockey team doing?
They play Army this week. I'm not sure exactly what the record is, but they have a weekend series with Army. And from what I saw on Twitter, Friday night's game is sold out. Right, nice. So keep an eye on that. But there's so many fun others, a lot of sports outside of football and basketball that we're going to try to start doing. I know.
I'd love to get into, like, for CU and CSU, their track teams are special. Just imagine it. Also, they're skiing, those kind of sports. They do very well in those, obviously.
And Air Force,
as you can imagine.
Air Force has a boxing team.
Really?
Yes. So
I can imagine.
Well, most of the academies do.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to see if we can. They have
that was a big deal. It used to be a big deal on those ships, like especially where you'd have. I don't remember what they used to give away, like a golden pin or something.
Golden gloves.
Yeah, golden gloves. Yeah.
And so, Air Force has an invitational, I believe, next week. So I'm going to see if I can finagle our way into that. And
that's pretty dope.
That'd be kind of fun. Something totally different. Something I've never covered.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then I'm not sure how that they quite do that, but I'm sure.
Me either. But I'm going to find out this weekend. I'm going to talk to the academy and see what we can do. But like we mentioned, we're going to be at a game this weekend. We'll be doing some women's games here as well. It's hard to do those weekday games, so we're going to try to hit every weekend game we possibly can.
Yeah.
Again, make sure you follow us on all of our social medias. My personal one, I'm always tweeting stuff out. If you can't find our other accounts, it'll be on my personal at some point. We'll try to do some, because it's been a while since I've covered basketball, and so now that getting that routine a little bit, we'll be cranking out more information, more stats, which is really cool because they have up-to-date stats for me. The live stream and stuff like that. So that'd be really really fun. Other than that, make sure you guys follow along. I'll be doing live stuff there all day, so it'll be a good time.
Yeah, and then just want to get out here with a little fun question for you and everyone. What are your thoughts on Miami tight end Cam McCormick coming back for his 9th season?
Interesting. I mean, a guy like that, what do you put on a job resume? Like,
I assume Miami's going to help him with getting a job. I assume they'll help him.
Like, what kind of degree is he getting?
That's my question. Like, he obviously has had to have received a degree. I assume he's getting another degree, but they have to be undergrad degrees, I assume.
No, you can get a master's.
So he can get a master's from the same school? I thought they had to. Yeah.
Right.
All right. I hope he's getting his master's in something. And
well, there was I remember a fullback at Ohio State who got his PhD because he had a red shirt and then COVID year. And so, yeah, he was able to get his PhD on scholarship.
Because he had a COVID year, it sounds like, and then he had 3 injury years, it sounds like. I mean, it's a little crazy.
A little bit. And if you're a recruit, I'd be somewhat annoyed because that's a scholarship position.
Right, it is. Yeah,
and
it really is.
We talked about it before we went on the air, but some of the guys that were in his recruiting class were Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, Nick Bosa.
No, it's Joey Bosa.
I think it was Nick.
Oh, it was Nick? Okay.
Yeah, Joey was a lot longer.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so that's tough.
Yeah, those guys are on their second contracts. So it's kind of funny.
Mega millionaires at this point.
Yeah, they got their 100 million. Yeah.
And Herbert's about to be one too.
Exactly. So I just thought that was funny. Good way to kind of end the show, to have some fun. And thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Please leave a like, thumbs up. If you're watching on Twitch, whatever, just retweet. And if you're watching on YouTube, please leave a comment. We'll get back to it. It really helps the show grow naturally. Mm-hmm. No need to spend any money or anything like that. So really would appreciate that. And that seems like it. Anything else for you, AJ?
We will see you guys Saturday.
All right, guys, take care and be well, and let's get out of here.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Wait a minute. Work hard for the car, so that's why it's